Live from the U.S. Capitol, where that vote was actually moved to late last night over new threats of violence at the Capitol. Now, the Capitol's been on heightened alert since the January 6th attack, but today House lawmakers have canceled their session as investigators warn of a possible plot to breach the Capitol. This all comes after an intelligence bulletin warned that some domestic extremist groups and conspiracy theorists like QAnon believe that today is the, quote, true inauguration day. March 4th was the previous inauguration day until the 20th Amendment changed it back in the 1930s. Capitol Police are leaving nothing to chance after 5 people were killed and hundreds injured after the January insurrection. The acting chief says there's been a 93% hike in threats to members so far this year.
Possibility of a similar incident occurring in the current environment is a very clear and present danger.
Yeah, as for that possible attack, some federal officials are describing the threats as aspirational rather than operational, but they still say that they're not going to be taking any chances this time around. Chris?
Preparation is key. We learned that from the last incident. Thanks, Alicia. Now, the